your host again here, Nathan Simone, with, of course, Rand, the co-founder of Verevo. Rand is back, and we've got a special guest today. We've got Michael Guy from Decentral Games. And Rand, this is going to be right up your alley because we're going to be talking about poker. We're going to be talking about decentralized gaming. It's going to be super fun. Michael, how are you?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Rand, Nathan. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm excited for this one. Casinos, poker, gaming, blockchain. It's pretty much everything I love all in one space. So this is the podcast.
Yeah, and it's definitely an interesting one too, because if anybody knows their crypto history out there, one of the first games that launched way back in like 2012 on Bitcoin actually was a casino type game. It was called Satoshi Dice. So this is obviously, this is not on Bitcoin. We're going to have Michael tell us all about it. I sort of am looking at it like a casino in the sky, but there's way more stuff than that. So Michael, we want to hear all about it. What is Decentral Gaming? Why are you here? Let's have fun.
Yeah, let's have fun. We'll keep it light and jovial. We'll have a good time regardless. So, Decentral Games, we launched early 2020, and we started building in Decentraland even prior to that. So we were one of the first builders in Decentraland, and as to this date, we can proudly say that we're responsible for roughly 65% of all the traffic that goes into Decentraland. So Decentraland being, the most populated metaverse, that's a nice little number for us to tout. We first launched as the casinos in the metaverse, where you could bet with a variety of different cryptocurrencies. And along the way, we then pivoted while Axie Infinity came into the scene with their play to earn model. We pivoted to the play to earn model and went all in on poker. No pun intended. So we launched this product called Ice Poker. We put that out in the metaverse. And then we also launched last year a product to follow up to that in the Ice ecosystem called Ice Poker Arcade, which is our 2D model. You could play it on browser. You can also play it on your mobile, which is a lot of fun. And I'm also very excited to say, though, that started as the casinos, pivoted to play and earn, and now we've come full circle back around to launching these new casinos in the metaverse again. But this time we're going to do it improved, and we can say that we're the only regulated, fully licensed metaverse casinos out there. So as far as 3D casinos go, we're the only ones with this type of product offering that's doing it on a legal front.
Yeah, that is fascinating because you have all sorts of people launching their own types of stores or businesses or whatever in the metaverse, but regulation is a whole thing that people just have not thought about. It's in the news as we're recording this today with all sorts of other stuff, mostly related to finance, but this is just like a whole separate area because casinos historically have been a pretty regulated industry, and now you're sort of digitizing that. And it's in a whole different realm. Can you sort of talk about becoming the first regulated casino in the metaverse? Because that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. Well, like many things in life, it started off as a chance encounter. I was actually out in Vegas speaking at a conference called G2E, and if those are familiar in the casino space or iGaming or regulatory space, which I don't blame or think that probably anyone would be. I was speaking out there, and I happened to meet an individual that also was in the space, and he holds a Malta license, which is one of the best licenses you could have when it comes to iGaming. And he was eventually looking to pivot himself and get rid of that license, and he had no use for it. Well, we happen to have an extreme use for that license, and the process is quite strenuous to go through from the ground up. And so it made sense for us to come in as an entity and just be able to purchase that license or purchase that entity that holds the license, and we can kind of roll everything over. And so currently we're in the process with Malta just doing the finishing touches on all the regulatory stuff, meaning that we should be able to do the hard launch of the casinos in the metaverse in the next 4 to 8 weeks roughly.
That is crazy. And for those who did not do well in their geography lessons, Malta, if I'm remembering correctly, small country in Europe near the Mediterranean. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I haven't been out there myself. Our CEO, Miles Anthony, was just out there, and he was sending over some pictures, and I was like, bro, just don't take the girlfriend next time. Just take me. Just take me with you. Yeah, it looks absolutely stunning out there. Yeah.
I'm open. Yeah. And that real quick, Rand, before we sort of get into the product, or I know that you definitely have a comment you want to make about this. The reason why it's so fascinating for you to have a Malta license and for you to be regulated is that historically, gambling is a very physically geodependent, like you can only go to Las Vegas, Atlantic City, Malta. I'm forgetting the Asian one near Hong Kong, but there's only so many places in the world where you can legally gamble. And now, there's sort of a free for all in the sort of decentralized cryptoverse, but that doesn't mean that it's legal and that they won't come for you later. And so this is a huge accomplishment that you'll be able to do this in an upfront manner while doing it digitally. So it's an achievement and it's an accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and really looking forward to being able to roll out these products in a legally compliant way. It sets the path forward for the success of Decentral Games on a commercial level, rather than doing it. I mean, casinos, let's not like bullshit the matter, right? Like casinos are they're profitable businesses,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Whether it's seedy or you're doing it, from the clean regulatory side of things. But it's like for the goals that we have as a company to propel forward, to get those those like really nice token exchange listings and stuff like that, we have to do it the clean and respectful way where it's all processed appropriately. There's KYC, et cetera. So yeah, this is the path forward.
How does, and I'm super interested as a gamer, how does like blockchain come into the casino side? Is it used to verify bets and like randomization's correct, or where does the blockchain come into the gaming?
It's a great question. So first I'll start by saying that when we first launched the casinos, every single transaction, so every blackjack bet, every roulette bet, everything was a blockchain transaction in and of its own, which was quite flawed by design because we were on Matic Network, and I love Polygon, right?
Sure.
Paul, whatever there's all sorts of different names now they're going with. Whenever Matic would spike, that would obviously cut into our casino profits dramatically. One of the numbers that's pretty fascinating from us is we only had about 100 users at the time that were consistently going in the casinos, and we were still pulling in around 300 grand a month, right? Just from those users. They were just,
wow.
They were just getting at it. But when Matic would spike, we'd be like, ooh, well, I mean, I think we maybe profited like 20K this month as a DAO, from all this. And so we realized that the methodology there was quite flawed. And so transitioning now to what we're doing is that not every transaction will be on the blockchain, to answer your question directly. In fact, you'll connect your MetaMask wallet or your wallet of choice to our site. And from there, it's going to go into a little bit more of a custodial means, and that's required by Malta, where it's that you'll take one of our native tokens, ICE or USDT or whatever it is, Mana, all of these tokens we'll end up offering support for, and then you sign for that usage on the site, and you deposit it onto the site, but your wallet still holds the funds. So it's going to make it so that not every single transaction is on the blockchain on the bets. Also, I will say that there's no the blockchain isn't going to be doing any type of randomization. Malta has their own methods of processing all of that.
Yeah, that's something that people definitely don't think about. And that you're saying that is what's happening with Matic, which is a layer 2 off of Ethereum, which should have, lower fees. The only thing that could be worse is doing it on Ethereum itself or Bitcoin on the main chain in terms of fee. That's something that I would not have thought of. And it's a friction point because obviously most casinos in the quote real world, you're using cash, which is quite frictionless. And it's just, it's a bare asset. It's going in, coming out. Wow, that's totally fascinating to think about. Rand, I know you've got some burning questions here about what's going on. And I also know that it's not just poker that we're talking about. We're talking about an entire casino. So walk us through exactly what
You're stealing my question.
Oh, there you go.
I wanted to know what all casino games are going to be offered out there, because I've been known to bounce around the pit to the slots to everywhere.
Just a coy way of saying you're just a true degenerate, but we'll take it, right? Yeah. Okay, so we're starting off with three games: blackjack, roulette, and poker. They're all live right now. So we just launched our beta. I didn't plan this podcast this way, but to announce this, but we just launched our beta today. We're not doing any hard marketing on it. We're, for all of our community members that are there, everyone active in our Discord, or those folks listening in, even, you can go into the casino now and you can place real wagers on those three games: Texas Hold'em, poker, like I said, blackjack, and roulette. The only token that's available to use right now is the ICE token. And it's because we had to, because Malta isn't entirely wrapped up right now with them, and we still wanted to push this beta out, we had to rely on our Costa Rican gaming license right now for this very short period of like another month or so, just to make sure that we're crossing all the T's, et cetera, and dotting the I's. And that's why we're only allowing ICE bets right now. And then once Malta comes to fruition, then we'll open it up to USDT bets, other stablecoin bets, etc. So, blackjack, roulette, and poker.
That's awesome. I love to hear that you guys have multiple licenses right now for multiple jurisdictions. I think that's really good to hear as well.
It helps dramatically. Yeah.
And I know that we had the actual website pulled up here in a second. Can we bring that back, Rand,
Yes.
and maybe see what's going on? And while you're doing that, we actually had somebody who has asked us a question, so it's relevant. May as well bring it up. Efficient wants to know any efforts to incorporate sports betting later on.
He is a sports bettor.
So many years ago, when we first went down this road, that was one of the big pillars that we were going to try to incorporate. In fact, we looked at various partnerships in Web3 that was going down the sports betting road, and it's something that I'm not going to say immediately no to, but it's not in our direct line of sight right now. So I think that we'll probably focus on other type of like more easily accessible metaverse games like Planko, Baccarat, things like that, because like what we have going for ourselves and what really makes us stand out from the herd, anybody can go online and gamble on various sites, but like to have a 3D environment and to really kind of emulate going to the casinos, having a casino night with the boys, right? But except for you do it from the comfort of your own home. You can dress as you want. You don't have to worry about getting COVID. You can go over there to the metaverse and you can play. It's like, how do you tie in? I almost will answer this with another question to the person that asked this in the first place. Like, how do we go about that creatively to tie in sports betting where it's something unique? It's something really, uniquely that stands out from an experience perspective for the user to go into our facilities to sports bet, rather than they can just go on to any other site and go do it. Whereas opposed blackjack and roulette and all of these casino type games, it truly is a unique experience. So it's something we're considering, but not directly in our path right now.
That makes a lot of sense. I could see it being like, just like off the top of my head, almost like a metaverse sports book where the guys are hanging out at. And somehow there's like a big screen or multiple screens where you can see all the different games going on, but you're like in the metaverse hanging out. Could be drinking from my basement right here or this wonderful piano behind me. But yeah, I like that a lot. That's very interesting. And so with a lot of these games, like the focus is on the social aspect. And what I really liked about it, like logging in to Ice Poker and stuff, I found that the wearables were really interesting. And I actually had a few in my wallet without even looking, from like Royal Society of Players, who I hold some cards from and things like that. So tell us about like the wearables and kind of how Ice Poker in the casino got started and how you guys kind of build that community around the metaverse.
Sure. We've had multiple iterations of different wearables, and that have had varying utility from our inception to where we are now. Some of which we have ceased to continue forward with. And I'll touch on that actually. the first wearables that we launched with went along with our first motto, which was be the house, because you could have certain wearables and you could sit at the tables, and while you were playing, you would be mining DG.
Whoa.
Right? And so these wearables would offer different activations from that. Now those wearables still trade for pretty high value because like they're the OG wearables. They're made in very finite amount of numbers, and we're looking at utility to add back to those as we roll out this next casino. But as it stands now, the ones that you're looking at right here are our all access wearables, and that would be our play and earn model wearables. So you purchase a wearable, whether it's on the secondary market or if we're doing a mint, which we haven't done a mint in a while, and that allows you to play our metaverse poker product, where it's play and earn. You get a set amount of chips each single day. It resets every 24 hours, and it's leaderboard style, where depending on how well you do, how many chips you hold at the end of the day, how many challenges you have also completed, which is a different spin on poker. I know, Rand, you play poker. Nathan, you play a little bit, but the challenge mode's a different twist. So not only should you be aiming to play solid poker and get as many chips as you can at the end of the day, you should also be trying to get your challenges, which could be see a flop 10 times, win 5 hands, whatever it is. And that's how that works. So those are our all access wearables. Those allow you to truly play poker and earn. And from there, we also have our arcade wearables. And the arcade wearables is the equivalent of a console, a gaming console, in a lot of ways, where if you want to play a specific game, you need the console to do it. Well, you need one of these Ice Poker Arcade wearables, and that's all you need to be able to play Ice Poker Arcade, and that's our 2D game that's available on mobile as well. And we kind of Chuck E. Cheese this system. It's this gray area, and I'm very upfront about this because it's really cool that we have this like trifecta of a product offering now, where we have play and earn poker. And then we have this. Then now we'll offer hardline gambling with a real license behind it, completely compliant. And then you have this gray area product, which is where a lot of iGaming operates, and like sweepstakes and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for this, you have to have a wearable, and then you load it up with one of our in-game mechanics called Shine. The idea is your wearables get dirty, you got to shine them up. And to purchase Shine, you do that with ICE. And so ICE is one of our native tokens. That's the one that you earn while you play in our metaverse poker. And our arcade product actually acts as a deflationary method to the ICE token that's being pushed out there from playing and earning. So you purchase Shine with ICE, therefore burning the ICE, and you can enter these sit and go style tournaments in our arcade product. They vary from turbo style to deep stack. They're all six-handed. Some of them are, the smallest amount is like 3 Shine, and all the way up to 1,000 Shine, which is the equivalent of like $500 or so, per person. And so they get pretty hefty.
Wow.
And I feel like I'm ranting, but I'll
I
get
love
to
that.
No, keep going.
So in arcade, what ends up occurring is that you buy in with your Shine by burning your ICE. And when you win badges. And that's why I said we kind of Chuck E. Cheese the system, where you take these badges and then you can now turn those in for real life prizes, MacBooks, iPhones, merchandise. You could turn them in for digital products, NFTs, cryptocurrency. You can just turn them right into stable tokens, right into your wallet. It's super cool. So we have this pretty unique, like I said, like trifecta of a product offering now, where we kind of hit on each one of those possible flows for people.
I'll say, Michael, 2 things I want to bring up. One, the phrase Chuck E. Cheesed in vernacular is one that I haven't heard before, and that I'm going to be adopting for all sorts of stuff, whether it actually means what it does or not. And 2, the wearables and earning stuff and playing the games like play to earn. I've told Rand this before. I learned how to play poker because of an Xbox game called Prominence Poker that I started playing during COVID. And they literally have wearables, you can earn chips, you can do all this stuff, but it's obviously not on the blockchain and not decentralized. So it's just like playing any other game. And I shudder now to think how much time I've spent playing that game that I could have actually monetized for real stuff. I could have like 5 MacBooks by now.
You could.
This is something I really should look into since I'm sort of doing this anyways.
We're playing poker, boys.
Whoa.
Right. And so this is, I saw that you clicked on the free play. So we also offer a completely free play, component on really all of our games. In fact, you can go into the metaverse even and play blackjack and roulette entirely free, just free play chips. If you want to just hang out and do that. This is our free play version of our arcade product where it emulates parts of our Play and Earn product line with the challenges in the bottom. If you see at the bottom, it will say, see the turn 20 times, get a pair 20 times, etc. Well, this is an entirely free product. You get 2,000 chips for the day. And you could see that you're starting off at obviously a level 1 there in bronze. But what can end up occurring here is you can end up earning shine. You can end up earning chess to open up based on as you level up, how well you do in this free play mode. So people will, it's a way for us to find, easy onboarding where people can come in, they can play free play mode. It's challenging, it's exciting. And then you can actually end up earning something to kind of level your way up to play in those shine tournaments for badges.
I love that. It's kind of like your way to free roll in.
It is.
The ecosystem.
Truly is. Truly is.
I love that. This is
and
really
also,
cool.
too, just with any new game, there's a sort of learning curve, whether it's a different console, different system, different blockchain even. So I just can see that as being a way to like you play for an hour, get super comfortable, then you put some real polygon in, you put some real money in, and try it for real. Then the stakes are real high.
Exactly.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Michael, I'm interested about the Decentraland sort of concept because obviously you've got decentral in the name there, and I feel like I would have I don't hear much about Decentraland these days, but the fact that you obviously have a casino that's going in there, that's thriving, that's getting all this stuff is like a huge use case again for Decentraland. And there we are. We're here there. Why maybe I'd love to know why Decentraland versus there are a couple of other metaverse metaverse ecosystems that were out there.
Yeah, I mean the ones that were available. Once again, we've been building in Decentraland from the early days of it being available to build in Decentraland, and at that point, it was honestly really one of the only viable options, and it made all the sense at the time. Being said, there's a lot of challenges to building in Decentraland. I'm not going to lie about that. There are. The developing in Decentraland isn't easy. There's a lot of ceilings, that you'll find in the development process where you're bumping your head and you're like, oh man, but you know what? Then you find a way to break through. Just like anything in life, you got to learn the rules before you can bend or break them. And fortunately, our team has been playing around in this environment for so long now that we really understand how to optimize and be efficient when it comes to the build. So we're happy in Decentraland. That doesn't mean, though, however, that we can't excitingly port our products over to any booming metaverse metropolis that comes in the future. So other side, whatever it is, we can take our ice poker product, our casinos that are licensed over to those new metaverses, and we can be the casinos and the poker guys over there as well.
The casino in the sky. Another thing that I was wondering, Michael, too, is that once again, we've discussed how like gambling historically in the quote real world has been, these physical locations, Las Vegas, Atlantic City, things like that. You can only go to a few places. Do you feel like there's going to be like a Las Vegas of the metaverse? And are you sort of aiming to maybe be like that or help create that? Or is it going to be so decentralized that it's like these physical limitations that we see in gambling and casino are just totally going away, and it's going to be who has the superior product, who has more fun with gameplay, who can have cool NFTs like this, who can help people earn the most? Is it going to be sort of reliant on that?
That's a very fascinating question. Well, where do I start on this? Fortunately, Decentraland has put out something recently called Worlds Plus, where you can basically have your own metaverse. It's built on the Decentraland platform, but if you want all of your structures just right there, and you don't want to have, some random game here and some random plot of land, owned by this person over there, you can have your own world, right?
Ooh.
And that puts us in a really interesting position in a couple of ways, because as I mentioned prior, we're responsible for the overwhelming majority of the traffic in there. So as soon as we decide to transition over to our own world, that makes us among the top metaverses out there, because then we'll be our own Decentral Games metaverse, Planet DG or whatever we end up calling it. It's going to be our own spot. And what's also interesting about that is something that you were touching on, Nathan, is the future of Vegas. And I've said before, as I've gone out to Vegas a few times and spoken on some panels, and a lot of that has to do with the future of Vegas. The men that run a lot of those organizations are really old. They don't see a need to change the business model, but it doesn't change the fact that the younger generation, the younger demographics, it's just not enough anymore that Taylor Swift is just playing over at the Bellagio or whatever it is. Like, they're not going to go out there for that. And they're not too enticed with just like sitting in a grimy, smoky casino and just like throwing some dice around. It's like, it just doesn't connect with them. This digital frontier connects more with them. So the younger minds that are behind these organizations understand that there's going to be a need to pivot in some way or another. And perhaps we, Decentral Games, can usher that in for them. And what I mean by that is that we can totally create a MGM facility, sponsored, branded, everything right next to us in our Decentral Games world. And we can build out, we already have the blackjack tables, we already have roulette, we already have poker. We can port those in. We can build some other products, perhaps. We're the expert builders there in the space. We already have the licenses, etc., to do so, and all the products, and we brand it up for them, and then we just do a revenue split. And they have they have all the customer base. They can port in their loyal customers if they want this digital experience. And so this is something that we've been discussing quite a bit, where that is I think, if I had to guess, it's going to definitely be on our roadmap. And that makes me incredibly bullish, working with the possibility of working with so many different organizations out there.
That's amazing. Yeah, that is really cool. And so, like, you'd be partnering with an MGM or a Caesars or something like that and help them onboard the younger generation. As the younger generation is more interested in digital experiences and metaverse experiences, they would come experience the MGM, get onboarded through there, maybe even rack up some MGM rewards points to go towards their trip to Vegas and things like that, and help them kind of drive traffic to their physical casinos and places. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
You're spot on. And as Nathan was saying, it's like that would in turn, create this digital Vegas, and we can be absolutely the ones to do that. In fact, if somebody, if there was a brand out there, that said, hey, like this sounds amazing, we'd love to do that, we can get that up and running, very soon. And what's also just very exciting to think about is what you mentioned, Rand, with like, the loyalty program. Well, that just rolls over with NFTs. How easy is that? That you now have an NFT that represents your loyalty card, and that's on your phone. You can walk into the tangible place in Vegas, or you can just, log in online, and those loyalty points just carry right on over. So, this is the future, boys.
Yeah, that is a trip to think about. Like, I feel like as you walked through and described it, I was like, oh, this has to happen. Like, this is inevitable, right? It's specifically too, because with the merger of the tangible and the digital, like, it can be expensive to, fly out to Vegas if you don't live near there. Certainly Malta, which is not in the United States, Atlantic City. But if you could go there, and like, I'm almost now imagining like how you see people in like virtual reality rooms or these different sort of rooms that are popping up. Like, people could be playing at the MGM that are both physically present at the MGM, but that are, home in Washington State or whatever. And you're at the same casino, and you could like visit Vegas 8 times a year, even if you only visited physically once to interact with it. And that just, my mind won't stop spinning on that. I feel like that has to happen.
Yeah, I also feel like it's inevitable. Just, the Thanos, right? This is inevitable. So I feel that way. And then also to take it to like another layer, to just break your mind even more is once VR is like really there, I mean, like really there. Let's fast forward another like 6 years to maybe a decade.
Sure.
It's like then you can really be in Vegas from your home. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? You can just use all this technology, and Decentraland's been actively working on their VR component. I think that they may even have had a beta come out, for a short period of time. It may even still be actively out, but yeah, that will be ultimately where things go from the digital frontier. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon,
Sure.
but that is what I think is going to end up occurring, where people just log in and probably don't find a reason to leave.
I'm never leaving my basement.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
Come
Decentral Gamed out.
Take off the headset, Rand. Take off the headset. Go outside.
Yeah. So with all of this, then how does I'm very interested in how the DAO works, the tokenomics, the revenue sharing, if there is any revenue sharing. How does all that work? Because you've piqued my mind completely here, and I like how you said, be the house. How do I be the house?
Yeah.
How do I join you?
We dropped that, we dropped that slogan when we made the pivot to poker. But I mean, our DAO is still, incredibly successful. When you look at metaverse DAOs, I think we're still, the #1 metaverse DAO out there. And, by all means, when you invest in our token, and we have technically 3 tokens. We have our ICE token, we have DG, and then we have XDG. It's kind of what Sushi did with Sushi and XSushi. And so XDG just represents our governance token, and it auto compounds and stakes, which is just amazing. You don't have to withdraw it out or unstake it rather, and then restake it, and then you're paying every single time to do so, and it's just automatic. So whenever you take DG and you swap that over to XDG, you're getting that auto compounding rewards, and it represents also your your governance in there. And I mean, you really don't need to hold quite much DG at all to make proposals, to vote on things, and if you believe in what we're doing, then it makes all the sense. So whenever the casino profits, and casinos are typically are profitable businesses, then our DAO should profit. And so it's almost like directly investing in in an MGM or in a Caesars, as you said, in a type of way, except for you have a little bit more say. You have all the benefits of the DAO instead of just being a shareholder.
I love that. And your tokens are both on mainnet and Polygon here. Any like plans in the future to spread to more layer 2s, or what's kind of the future there?
That I can't tap too much into, just because I don't think I've had that discussion so much lately. But I'm sure as any opportunities come up that make sense for us, I mean, we'll get on it. We're known as a team for just shipping wins and just getting after it. And so if it ever makes sense for us to do so, then 100%, why not?
Love that. I absolutely love that. Really, really interesting. And I'm interested in like governance proposals. Like, what types of proposals does the community put up? Are they looking to list new games? Is it kind of deciding what you guys build? What kind of has the community put up so far when it comes to governance proposal wise?
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's game enhancements and optimizations. I think a good example would be maybe one of the challenges in our play and learn product was a little too difficult for people to achieve. They were finding it a little too hard. And so, instead of winning the hand, you have to win 7 hands, to get this challenge number 2 done. The governance proposal popped up for, it's like, hey, like, let's lower this to win it 5 times, And so if that passed, and so we made those changes, So a lot of them were gameplay features, community type stuff, that isn't usually the stuff that we don't usually see, though, is like reflective on like business dealings, marketing endeavors, etc. But anything worth putting up there, and we do it. I mean, we are the most transparent company out there when it comes to stuff.
I love that a lot. I love that. Nathan, do you have something you want to say there?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was going to say, I think that the DAO is a fascinating thing for a casino because, we talk about fractionalizing ownership of all sorts of stuff in the decentralized world. And I've got to say, without doing any research, I know that buying a fractional share of a casino will be profitable over the long term, as you've explained there, Michael. But what I think I'm also really interested in is we've got this events tab up at the top of the website here, and Rand is fresh off of coming from, he was in the World Series of Poker. He's a poker champion, and I'm sort of wondering too, with because we're so early to this space and because you're sort of a pioneer in this space, just sort of like we talked about physical Vegas and people migrating to sort of digital Vegas, do you see Decentral Games as like having something like the World Series of Poker or some event like that where the next champion wearing these NFTs, and increasing the value of these NFTs is now a digital, a physical person, but digitized there and becoming famous on the blockchain instead of in person like they've had to traditionally do?
Yeah, well, we definitely have plans, and we've been actively working on it to run MTTs, so these multi-table tournaments. That will 100% be a thing,
Okay.
and that will allow us to run these larger poker type events. And 100%, we've looked at doing that as a direct path, and then we've also looked at partnering with WSOP or like folks like Poker Go or whoever it is, where we can run this digital event or IRL event, and then the final table meets at one of the two. So let's say we did a big MTT event in the metaverse, and we partnered with somebody like Poker Go, and everyone who gets to the final table, we fly them out to the Poker Go studio at the Aria in Vegas, and they play in the final table there in person. And then guess what? All of that live footage that's shot there, we just put up in the feed in all of our facilities, because we have all live feed screens up in there. In fact, we have, if for those poker fans out there, we have the most popular poker show playing in our metaverse facilities 2 days a week. We have Hustler Casino live show in our facilities twice a week. So you can be playing poker, blackjack, roulette, whatever you want, and you can watch the Hustler Casino live stream.
And as this goes with the licensing, will you guys be running like satellites to live events, or do any marketing with ambassadors at live events or anything like that when it comes to poker tournaments?
100%. Yeah, definitely. Fortunately, I have quite the Rolodex in the poker scene, which has been very useful. And we'll definitely be making some phone calls and knocking on some doors when the time's right. So right now, the order of events is just like making sure that this casino launch comes out correctly and everybody's happy, nailing down these casino games, and then we're going to focus on some MTT action.
I can't wait to satellite into next year's main event via a Decentral Games multi-table tournament satellite that I just got to play from the comfort of my home.
Boom.
Possibly threw on, little Royal Society NFT shirt while I was hanging out. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm really excited for that, for sure.
Well, and I think it's also interesting too for, we're constantly having to look at art and wearable NFTs for like, what's their secondary market value? And I definitely see that when these events go on, you could start, if you're a really good player, or if you just, progress to the ranks of playing a lot, you start off with, a wearable that anybody could have bought, but it becomes associated with you as a champion. And then how much is that worth on the secondary market? Or, how much are people competing for it? Or do you create a special NFT, sort of like the Masters jacket for the PGA Tour, or the, something like that? There's just so many possibilities because you're sort of creating and building this reality as it's unfolding.
Yeah, absolutely. The wearable component adds a almost endless possibilities to it. And an example I can give is that we've done quite a few partnerships with various NFT and like Web3 communities where we'll create a specific wearable for them. Like CoinGecko, for example, we partnered with them earlier this year. We created all of these like gecko full skins, tons of these like geckos, and CoinGecko ran a campaign as the partnership and sent us a list of addresses, ETH addresses. We dropped these gecko skins to all of those addresses, to all these winners, it was already preloaded with 9 shine. And by the way, all of our wearables you can wear in the metaverse, and you can also wear it at the 2D product as well. So they're run in tandem that way. And so we loaded those up with some shine, and then we can also from there run community specific prize pools. So all those geckos can compete for what they're normally competing with, but in fact, they're also competing for a specific prize pool that only those holders of those wearables can be partaking with. And so when you think about, what you can kind of do there, it's just like, just as the lowest hanging fruit for everyone to use as an example, if we were to partner with the apes, for example, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're an ape holder, we can put on a specific event for the apes. In fact, if we want to do it in the metaverse, we could even token gate a facility, right? Where you can't even walk through the doors unless you're holding one of these wearables, right? And then we put on a community specific prize pool, and we can live stream that into the other facilities. So sky's really the limit, and we're getting done as much as we can, as our hands can build. But I can see Rand's eyes are popping right now.
This is blowing my mind. So I'm already thinking like a rare network wearable, and everybody's playing a tournament. There's a normal prize pool involved, but if you have a rare network wearable, you have a chance to win a VIP ticket or a group of VIP tickets plus travel and airfare for next year, or maybe even, one of our lifetime passes or something like that. That sounds amazing. We're going to have to definitely talk more about
so we can you can do randomized raffle based on it. You can either just do, by skill, by points, by who wins, or however you want to do it. You could do it. We've partnered with Hustler Casino Live. In fact, we have
love watching their show
live family sweatshirts. We have, like I said, CoinGecko. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a very extensive list of partners that we've made these exclusive wearables for. So
that's really cool. You guys are really definitely on the cutting edge of casino gaming and the metaverse and kind of bringing it all together. I think that's really cool of you guys to be doing. It's definitely cutting edge. When it comes to like poker, which are you guys leaning more towards the casino gaming or poker? Or it's a blend of kind of all three things you have going on between the arcade, poker, and casino. Where do you guys say you lean the most?
The focus for the last year has been poker. While we, when the Malta opportunity came forth for us, we jumped on it. And I mean, maybe that was like 3 or 4 months ago. And we just put the beta out for the casino. Like, our team just crushed it. Like, we just
fast
moved the regulation, the paperwork. The builds, the testing. I mean, we just did it all. So to answer your question directly, our focus right now, 100%, is getting this casino live, making sure that everything is running smoothly, because now we're pouring into a product and trying to onboard users where we know they're going to be spending. Because as I showed you earlier with our 2D poker product, the game that you were showcasing a bit, you just went on there and played for free. In fact, when it comes down to marketing, which is much of what I handle, it's, a much easier thing to market when you say, well, come in here and play for free. Play this, free play product. But it's like there's a lot of fall off from free play to now they're getting this token ICE, which is like already a leap, right? It's like, how far down the rabbit hole do you have to go, in Web3 to get there? And then, you get your ICE, and then you have to buy the shine, you have the wearable, and et cetera. There's all these steps in the process. And so there's a lot of fall off there. And so we're spending, time and money and marketing on this product where it's like, we're getting traffic in and we're growing and we're proud of what we put out. But let's put that into a customer base that we know is going to come in. They're going to gamble it up in the casino, and we can start showing that our numbers in the DAO and all of our profitability just starts rising up. Who knew that revenue was a good thing for a company? Who knew?
Who knew? I still think it's fascinating to think about token gating the facilities, and that, you have to have a specific NFT or have some sort of, legitimate smart contract invitation to get in, because that is a whole different thing where it's like casinos, regular casinos, you can have the best security in the world, but if you're able to schmooze past the guards, like we've seen in, many a movie, You might get access to something you're not supposed to have, not have access to, but you can't schmooze past the smart contract. And that's just something that nobody has ever seen before. So I'm still thinking about that.
Well, it's not even just theorized. We have that now. So we have a facility called the Diamond Hands City. And
yes.
it's like all, opulent and gold and, pillars and just, insane looking. And the only way you get in there is by being a crown or scepter holder.
Ooh.
And those are like our, high rollers in our ecosystem. And you get the crown or the scepter by holding, a certain amount of these fully leveled up all access wearables. So that's the only way you get those. And then you get access, and it's just, an exclusive facility with other crown scepter holders. Everybody's just dripped in gold outfits and crowns, and it's just wild. So
I love that.
Sounds like a good time. Digital caviar and some digital and really nice, drinks, some wearables.
That's right. That. I'm sure it can taste good. I figured out.
I love you guys are really pushing down the regulatory route and being as legal as possible and kind of looking for these partnerships with MGM and Caesar. It's really commendable that you're doing it in our industry where a lot of folks kind of shy away, and wonder what your thoughts are on, like, kind of wrap up a little bit here. You could rant on this one for a while, but what are your thoughts on like US regulation? Do you find it harder to be crypto and casino to get in? Like, what are your thoughts on regulation going forward? What are you seeing from your side of things? Because you guys seem to dive into it more than most.
Yeah, well, I think that whether you're familiar with, gambling / iGaming or not, for those tuning into this, very Web3, centric podcast, we all know that regulatory issues in the US is difficult across the board.
Yeah.
And that is a theme similar, in gambling and in iGaming as well. There's a lot of hurdles to get through there. And in fact, our Malta license, you do have, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this to answer your question directly. Like, you do have to have, it isn't legal in the US. So Malta doesn't give us reach there. It gives us reach to like Europe and like, to the majority of the world. But as far as the US goes, it doesn't give you direct access there. But, people figure out things and other methods, I'm sure. So, but yeah, as far as staying compliant,
yeah, that is a sort of interesting philosophical and law question. I don't want to dwell on that too much because that's a multi-hour podcast. But I feel like gambling might actually be the only thing under more scrutiny than crypto. It's always been a very tightly regulated market, and hard for people to do, obviously, as we talked about the geographic locations. Michael, as we're wrapping up here, because we want to be conscious of your time, I'm wondering, did we miss anything when it comes to Decentral Games? We talked about the Metaverse Casino. We talked about being a pioneer in Decentraland. We talked about the DAO. We talked about potential events. We talked about digital Las Vegas. Is there something that we've missed that you wanted to touch upon?
Oh, man. No, I think we touched on it all. I suppose I'll take 30 seconds to just say on the event side of things,
Sure.
we do host a myriad of different type of events. We host concerts, prominent DJs come in all the time. They're up on the big screen. They're playing like their own sets. People just go in there. It's actually kind of funny. Like people go in there, they're just dancing in the metaverse. We have custom emotes, thousands of them, where it's like you can flex your emote. You can do like head spins and throw money and do all sorts of dance moves, do the robot, do whatever you want to do. So it is pretty funny, but we do a ton of different events. In fact, whenever we do partnership launches, we end up doing like a big party event as well, where people go in, they play poker, and then they meet up in the metaverse, and we take all these pictures. So with CoinGecko, we had all the geckos take over the metaverse. There was like hundreds of geckos in this facility, and like gambling, like you see chips flying everywhere. It's quite the sight. So the event side of stuff is pretty cool, and I think that also opens up some doors for the future.
That would definitely be quite the sight, indeed. That actually leads me to you gave me a great sort of follow or last question here before we definitely want to know what you're looking forward to at Rare Evo, and maybe if there's anything guests can expect at Rare Evo. But you brought up a very interesting point that I didn't think about. In a lot of casinos, there's artists that have residencies, and you talked about the Taylor Swift show, and I know that what's her name, the big one, not Celine Dion. No, Celine Dion also did one. There's lots of numerous artists. Do you see that being a thing that like sort of, especially now you have all sorts of digital musicians online taking up a digital residency inside your casino? Is that going to be a thing?
It already is for us. We have a couple
Oh.
resident DJs, no, like, huge names like
Sure.
Marshmello or whoever it is, right? But it's like
Not yet.
we have some successful, not yet, some successful DJs. And to add to what you were saying, it's like, if we do bring any of these hypothetical partnerships to fruition with these casinos, well, if they have those resident artists, why can't they just digitalize their concerts, in our facilities where it makes sense for the artists? So, yeah, possibilities are.
I'm looking forward to the next Decentral Games DJ concert. I'm in, and not gonna lie, Nathan, I was playing around with the throwing money emote before the podcast. The emotes are pretty amazing to play with.
They're fun.
Yeah,
I would love to see Rand do a DJ set, but first I want him to be able to play that piano that's always behind him. I want to hear a set on that piano as well. Rand, do you have any final questions that maybe we missed out on asking Michael?
No, I love this. I'm excited for more. I'm going to definitely start playing some poker and looking into the casino a little bit. It's going to be, I spend some time on my Sundays as my thing is hitting a little bit of the poker and playing some MTTs, and maybe, when I lose by dinner time, I degen a little bit in the casino. So really excited for what you guys got going on. I'm going to start spending a lot more of my time in Decentral Games and playing some poker with everybody.
My man. Well, I'll tell you what, for both of you, I know that you already have a wearable for Arcade Rand. Nathan, if you don't, send me your ETH addresses. Let me know. I'll either send you a wearable if you need one, but I'll throw you guys some shine so you guys can go into the games, have a good time. Hopefully you earn some badges. You can, get one of these nifty DG hats. And for those of you who are tuning in, you asked me, Nathan, one last thing to say. That would just be, if you haven't explored what we're all about, and you're just tired of me talking about it and want to experience it for yourself, go see, just pop on.
Well, and I definitely should, Michael, because like I said, I've been playing this on Xbox for forever, and just, it's like any other game that's not a Web3 game. You put so much time and effort into it, and I'm not a famous Twitch streamer, so it's like, what have I gotten from it other than being able to learn poker without actually losing millions of dollars? I don't know. I should probably be switching to this. So to close out the Rare Network podcast here, Michael, we like to ask all of our guests this. What are you looking forward to when it comes to Rare Evo? Because an in-person conference is much different than the digital space that we're all constantly in. There's something special about it for everybody. What are you looking most forward to at Rare Evo? Or maybe is there something guests can expect from you being at Rare Evo?
I'm really looking forward to this conference. And I'm not just like shilling it and just saying that for your guys' sake. I'm super looking forward to this. Not only will there be some dear friends of mine out there that I'll be sharing the stage with, like you said, Michael Loncar, Poker Pro, Joey Ingram, poker influencer, very well known. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but it's just such a wonderful opportunity to connect, shake hands. That's where a lot of magic is made. I know that we're all so used to living in front of our screens, but like having that social factor, that face-to-face, to be able to connect and then just take it home and you can connect back digitally again is really worth it. Like the worth it factor is just always there. And maybe some body shots with Rand. I don't know. Maybe
we'll have to definitely get into it before we hit the lazy river and some of the after parties. That's for sure.
Yeah. A little chlorine to clean off, first. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nathan. Just let it happen.
That's good. That's definitely some alpha that we wanted. Rand, you want to close us out with where people can buy tickets, book a hotel room, and then, let Michael tell us where everybody can find him online.
Absolutely. RareEvo.io. Grab your tickets today before they go up. August 15th will be the final price increase. So definitely need to go ahead and grab those today. August 8th is when hotel room block is done. So get your hotel rooms booked immediately. That's the most important thing, to save almost 50% off this amazing resort. And you're going to want to hit the lazy river with us on Sunday after the event. So that's for sure. And that's about it. This has been an amazing podcast. Excited to have you, Michael. Thank you so much. Decentral Games, top-notch project, and excited to kind of have you at the event and maybe do another podcast in the future as more things roll out. This has been really fun.
Yes, our guest here has been Michael Guy from Decentral Games. Michael, where's the best place for people to find you or Decentral Games online as we close out?
Sure, you can find Decentral Games at Decentral Games. It's very easy. You can find us on Twitter there. We're very active, and my socials are all the same across the board: Twitter, Instagram, whatever. It's all just M Guy the Man. That's me.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael. This has been the Rare Network Podcast. We're going to come at you next week with some more great content. But for now, see ya, and see you at Rare Evo.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks, Rand.
Cheers.